And so that I had to do a lot of my hitchhiking at night. That's scary. I mean, the Isuzus flip over. They call them Al-Qaedas. I mean, you're on the bus or you're in the back of the truck, people that are missing limbs because they used to be drivers of them and they flipped over. So that's scary in and of itself. Then beyond that, they sometimes would have me sit in the front. I would like to be in the back in the open air, but sometimes I'd have to be in the front with the driver, like the owner of the truck, and then the backup driver who's now off duty and just chewing a whole bunch of chat. The owner of the truck was drunk. I'm wedged in between them all, and then I got scared because I couldn't communicate with anybody, and there was like, one was trying to put their arm around me, and the other one was just trying to, be like really, really touchy, and I was just nervous. I didn't know what was going to happen, and I lied, and I said I'd use the bathroom. Did I tell you all this?
No.
Okay. And then I got out of the truck, and I was crying at that point because I was like, there's something not right. Like, I'm very uncomfortable. This man is touching me, and
you're telling the translator?
I'm telling my translator who's in the back. And there was a police officer on the truck, fortunately, and he asked the translator what I was saying. He told him, and they got the guy fired that was doing that to me, and they made him ride in the back, and everyone was really apologetic, but it was scary because I was like, in my head I was like, oh my gosh, I could be locked in this cab or in this car and they could do whatever.
Yeah, you're in a totally vulnerable situation.
Yeah. And sometimes I didn't feel, my interpreter didn't make me feel safe either. Just like
when you're
lying.
Things. Yeah.
I mean, he was at one point was like, I love you, and we're like in the middle of nowhere. He's like, stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. Because I can only relate. My only experience in Africa was being in Senegal and a little bit of Morocco, Mauritania. But being in Senegal was such a trip because I would it was like the biggest ego boost. Like suddenly, every guy wanted to be my boyfriend and husband or whatever,
Yeah.
And I have the sense to know that it's not because I'm that amazing. But it was really intense. Like even people I had spent weeks with, like your interpreter, was suddenly like, "I love you. You should be my wife."
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm like, is there a country where this doesn't happen?
Right.
But
and that said, I felt my friend traveled in Ethiopia. This was many years ago, and he was just doing NGO work. But he traveled in the South a bunch, and then his girlfriend did too, and they traveled separately sometimes, and they were just comparing notes, and she was saying that even though she had similar, I'm a little bit uncomfortable, overall, she was like, I would never, hitchhike at night in, New York, or, anywhere in the U.S. She was like, but here it was I would do it all the time, and then once in a while there was something a little bit fishy or sketchy. So it's in that context, it's a pretty safe environment,
right?
So.
Yeah, because that's how everyone else travels, and I think that was to my advantage a lot because people would see me riding the way everyone else, I was living the way that they all live, so I wasn't renting an SUV, which is the only vehicle that could go in these places.
Right.
So, I was gonna. What you said something that was.
That it was safe to travel, or everyone wanted to be your husband, or
no. Oh, there was another time I was scared traveling at night. There were hijackings on the road between Addis Ababa and then the main town in the south, and the truckers they'll drive one after the other to make sure nothing happens, but I mean, that was very scary because they'll just be men with masks and guns on the side of the road, and they make you stop and pay money and rob everything. So that was kind of scary.
So what did you tell your parents when you were? Did you keep them in the dark about all the stuff?
No, I gave them some. I mean, they.
I don't know.
I gave them a phone number or something. The phone number that I had gotten for the guy interpret for the North, and then I just went, and I could only find a computer 3 times outside of Addis.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote to them
I'm still alive.
Yeah.